Hello, Watchers. Hello, Gravitrons. I'm more gravity. Let's play chess. Okay. Um, so I just won this game. My opponent took the first game. Just remind myself how that occurred. It's mostly had a break around move 14. Okay. But we're gonna go over this game that I just finished about 5 minutes ago. I had the white pieces. I played Queen's Pawn opening, as I've been playing. We got to the Queen's Gambit. My opponent chose to capture on c4, so we're in the Queen's Gambit. Accepted. I played e4, and that's book. And then the move b6 here, my opponent played b6. And I'm critical of that move because white can play bishop takes c4 without having to complicate things. Just right off. White is clearly better here with black to move, but with also a classic central pawn duo, whereas black has only one central pawn and it's a potential sweet center pawn, whereas white has already established two pawns in the center and in the sweet center. White has a developed bishop on c4, and black, on the other hand, has decent or good place to move his bishop to on b7. That's not enough. And the move. So black has bishop b7 and black has the move, and white has a classical pawn duo in the center and a well-placed central bishop. So bishop b7 is kind of the logical continuation after playing b6. I played queen b3 here. I just felt I might be able to get some tactical shots on black with the battery, queen and bishop on b3 and c4 attacking the weakly defended square on f7. My opponent found the best move, the great move, pawn to e6. I'm just blocking all that. If I want to hunt my opponent's king super early as now, it'll cost me my bishop. Bishop for 2 pawns. And so maybe white doesn't want to do that. Hey Mom, can I call you back in a few minutes? Oh, okay. I'll call you later tonight then. All right. Love you. Bye. Pawn to e6, and then white is what's white gonna do? D5 is a strong move here. The d5 square is controlled 3 times by white and 3 times by black. So I chose here to fight for it the most direct way, and that's to push d5. E takes d5, pawn takes d5. And we have this kind of a weird looking setup here. We have all these pieces aiming on like their natural diagonal lines of attack on the queen side here. I mean, let's think about this. If we just take the B file, if we just take the B file, C file, and D file, we've got pawns on their diagonals. Okay, that we kind of knew would be there. They're close to the center, but this queen has a strong diagonal. There's a black bishop with a strong diagonal. White is, moving the pawn to d6 away from having a strong diagonal for his bishop at c4. The queen as the second part of the battery is helping along the diagonal. We have this bishop that's been being shadowed on the long diagonal from a8 to h1 and stands on b7. I don't know. It's kind of a weird. I don't know. I like it. It's one of these. In terms of gameplay, that kind of coincidence might not mean enough for me to understand right away, but it's cute, to see sort of strange uh, arrangements played out on the chessboard like that. Oops, it's a diagonal technically, but it's not a chess diagonal. This, like here, if I play like if I make this line from the bishop at c5 to h7 like that, this yellow line, that's a diagonal. Yes, quite well with whatever other legs of a triangle, or it's a diagonal. In chess, no, it is not a diagonal in chess because the dark squared bishop must never be on a light square. So it's not a diagonal that makes any sense in chess. So with all that, I played a bishop to e3, and I thought white has a lot of flexibility here. Right? If black initiates a capture, then both pawn takes f3 could help shore up this center for white with returning another pawn to the center, or in some situations, queen takes e3. Did I say f3? I meant e3. Pawn takes e3 helps with the center, or in certain situations, queen takes e3 throws a check at the black king on e8, and that could have dynamic qualities to it. Frankly, if my opponent plays right away, bishop takes e3, I'm not sure what I would have played. I would have had to think. On bishop takes e3, I don't know. It's disrupting this battery to recapture with the queen, but then you get the check on the king, and maybe I want to trade queens, or probably f takes e3. Let's take time out. Let's take a time out here to go to the analysis and see what's going on with queen takes e3. Or first bishop has to take on e3. This line. You see, bishop takes e3, queen takes e3 is the way for white to go at that point. And knight e7. Okay. So let me take a look in practice and see what happens. So I think it's black's turn move. Bishop takes e3, and then I'll actually go back here and suggest bishop takes e3. Is white doing well after f takes e3? No, so f takes e3 would be a mistake. Our super strong computer has f being better for black. Queen comes in with an attack, and she's joining some kind of fight against the bishop at c4. She's placed white's king in check. The move g3 doesn't look all that great, because then what about queen to e4, and she's just way too active, and for no reason other than why try to get like a better pawn center back here, So white would play queen takes e3 check and have about an equal game. Knight comes to f7. It's a lot of this game is going to be static, probing for weakness. Both sides are reasonably strong structurally. White is going to need to probe for weakness. Black's going to need to probe for weakness. And you see what happens in that kind of situation. All right, none of this happened, by the way, in the game. So queen to e7, knight f3, h6. h6 is slow. I'd say, to be honest, I think it's a little bit slow. Knight f6 might be stronger. Obviously, the computer agrees. Knight f6, get the pieces out. This bishop can't come to g5 for a pin anyway, because this bishop, our bishop, white's friendly dark square bishop, is pinned to the white king. So from black's perspective, there's no reason to prevent bishop to g5, and I won't be all that worried about knight to g5, it's not a great, the knight on g5 isn't creating much of a threat, right? Pawns that are well defended, pawns that are well defended, squares that are well defended. So I'm very critical of the move pawn to h6 here. White gets his castle in, and things kind of move on. I'm gonna return to the review way of looking at this and let it just play for a while. I thought I had a tactic with bishop to g5 here. I must have missed the moment. I feel like I'm attacking black's queen in two different ways by a piece that is, at least for now, supported by the knight. And the rook also supported by the knight. And it doesn't matter that the knight's supporting both of them, because the queen has to choose between them. If she is going to do such a thing, and she won't, she'll lose her, she'll lose herself, she'll lose her queendom, and she'll lose herself, and maybe become a ghostwriter for Eminem or something. But right now, I still don't see exactly why bishop to g5 is a mistake. So we're gonna have to spend some time on this, because if I don't know it, I can't explain it. There's I could play bishop takes c5, still with a queen against two attackers. She's probably just gonna solve the problem with queen takes c5, and I don't have much to show for my flair on this jaunt, or this capture on c5, jaunt 2, and this capture on c5. I don't know. There's got to be something here. The queen is too easily attacked by discovered attack. And I'm wondering if bishop to d4, right? The knight's protecting a rook that's attacking black's queen, and the follow-up is simple against g7, capturing a pawn and, threatening a higher value piece on h8. Let's take a look on, we're going to consult analysis so I don't give bad information or something. And analysis says just chill out there, more gravity. Just a little bit of more gravity, even for more gravity. Knight c3, simply developing. And it's all these attacks and double attacks and discovered attacks, and the rook is almost completely trapped, and this and that. Amidst all that, just knight to c3. The most common square for white's queenside knight. Isn't that cool? Amidst all these calculations and machinations, that it's just knight to c3. Alright, but that's not what happens. So we'll go back to the real game. Bishop to g5 was a reasonable try, I'd say. And it doesn't transfer the lead, I'll say, in my defense. White is still ahead in terms of the evaluation bar, and in terms of active pieces, and maybe something else. And then queen to d6, like as I thought per plan, allows bishop takes d8, winning the exchange on the d8 square. And now white definitely has a material advantage. Knight to c3, like torch 4 light indicated just a moment ago, because knight to c3, just because the knight's got to get out. I was thinking actually for a little bit, what about knight to d2? And it's probably a fine move as well. Knight bd2 or knight to c3 are both recommended or suggested. They're both doing well. I chose c3 because if I want to attack black's queen, I have at c3. I have at c3 two ways for that same knight to attack black's queen. Whereas at d2, I have only the one on the e file. The knight cannot jump from e2 to b5. So this is a bit just adding an extra pathway towards an attacking motif or to attack black's queen. Should take time to say. Black's king and black's queen, white's king and white's queen are always going to be pieces to look at, for they might be attacked. That's not the right English of it, but the point is, the queens and the kings are always at the center of attacks, because if you lose your queen, you're pretty much sunk. Most of the time, you lose your queen, you're sunk. You lose your king, well, you can't lose your king by the rules of chess. But if your king is in a position where, were there to be a subsequent move, he would be definitely lost, then that's checkmate and you've lost. So high value pieces are the center of attacks. The objects of attack. Objects of attack, I guess so. Objects are subject to attack, but objects of attack. English is weird like that. A6, knight e4. After queen g6, it's a little bit, it becomes a little bit tactical. I'm wondering about knight takes c5. I found the right move, bishop. Oh, sorry, I found the bishop. I found the right move, knight to e5. And it was a good move. It's a good sacrifice. So, and I capture on c5, and knight takes f3, or knight to f3 check. It's good. It's an excellent move, but it doesn't. White's still gonna end up engineering this colossal trade of pieces. Maybe I messed up a little bit at the end side here with queen e4. Let's see. That maybe b4 was called for. C takes b4. I don't know. Okay, that's fine. But I'm actually okay with how I played to force a queen trade on e4. The queens are off. White's had 2 pawns and a little bit of development as well. It's same color bishop, so we're not all that worried about simplifying down to a opposite color bishop endgames, which are likely to draw. I put my when my opponent develops his her or they knight to f6, I placed my rook on e3. I might have placed it on e2, except then same color square as my opponent's bishop. So then I might have placed it on e1, but then we're blocking the way of getting rooks doubled on the e file. So the next safe square was e3, where it's not going to be attacked by this bishop, and if black's knight finds his way to g4, we'll just have to figure out what to do when that time comes. Doubling rooks on the e file. White's doing very well here. Some of this is a little bit technical. I pick up a pawn by trading bishops, and White's main aim is either to promote or for blocking that promotion to have it cost black his knight, they knight. Usually the defending side in situations like this can jettison a minor piece or at least some kind of piece to prevent promotion on A8. It's very rare that you would find white will just promote on A8 without any impediment or any drawback. And rook to B6 was a strong move, it turns out. Blocking black's king from working strongly against the pawn that white is attempting to promote. However, the queen side is at a little bit of a, I think the word is détente. It's not exactly clear that either side is going to make progress very soon, and neither side is all that keen on moving away from his or her current position. So I wanted to get these pawns locked up, and I'm going to bring my king in to help with the battle somehow. Détente is, I believe, like, you ever watch a movie and everybody's pointing a pistol at everybody else and there's like 8 people there? There's a moment in the movie Face Off with John Travolta and Nicolas Cage, and then there's got to be 6, 7, or 8 gun-toting people there, and they're all pointing their guns at different people. That, I believe, is what's called a détente or an impasse. Wait a minute, no, I'm not sure. I'll look this up. I think it's actually an impasse. It's called an impasse. Nobody knows what to do because everybody's pointing at everybody, or they know what to do, but they're not going to do it because it's a really high stakes thing to do, and that's, yeah. So watch that movie. It's a crazy movie. If you're it's a rated R. So if you're allowed to watch rated R, or you're old enough that nobody even has to allow you to watch rated R, then Face Off. It's just really weird, but I don't know, kind of crazy movie too. But that scene in particular includes an impasse, or I'm not sure that's exactly the same as a détente. I might have my words wrong. But back here with this red business going on, this is kind of an impasse. There's not these black nor white wants to really go so far as to take the next step towards hostilities. So I'm going to lock up these pawns for the most part here on the king side, and just let this sort of stay how it is. White could stay on A2 here and just venture his king forward. Right, let me see. King to E3 is a reasonably good way for white to improve his position without any ill effects. King to E3, and then E4, and now we're invading against these weak pawns on the king side. Right, the weak pawn if it's both backward from the front pawn and undefended. I think that's the definition. I played rook E5. I might have had good reason to do so, but just that the book is so powerful in an endgame like this to bring it to a Stromberg file. Key moves that undermine black's kingside pawns by way of the rook. It didn't have to come to that because pawn to A6. Or because of knight to B7 and pawn to A6, and white's gonna do well here. So even as calculated by Torch 4 Light, the checkmate in 8 moves. Sort of keep that how it is. Decently accurate game, and Wait a minute. Did we think maybe move the knight? The computer on maximum enters king b8, and that is most certainly an awesome. Let me try. Knight c5. So these attacking the threat, the pawn that's threatening to promote. All right. All right. So thank you for watching. So that's it for the show. That's it for this segment. And thank you for watching. Thank you, Gravitrons. I'm more gravity. Have a great night.